Welcome back to Shotoku Tech. At work, we're just getting ready to update our Azure AD Connect sync server to using a full SQL instance. In this lab, we're going to use SQL running on a group managed service account, sync running on a group managed service account, install Azure AD Connect using that SQL instance, and we're going to enable hybrid domain joins. We can use workstations as trusted devices in conditional access policies. So let's check it out. So in this scenario, among other things, we're going to use group managed service accounts for SQL and group managed service account for sync. So I've already established the KDS root key is present. You can see I've tested the KDS root key. I actually created two just for kicks because this is a lab and I wanted to see what happened. I went to go ahead and do the group managed service account and wanted to assign it just to Tucson SQL 1, and you see I get the error. So make sure if you're just assigning it to a computer, put that little $sign behind it, because a computer SamAccountName has a $sign. Make sure to watch my video about group managed service accounts. I'll link to that below. And basically here's the commands I'm using to instantiate those group managed service accounts. So I'll copy that and paste that down below in the description as well, just to give you an idea what we're working with there. See here then, the group managed service accounts are created for SQL and for sync. So we're going to install SQL next. Looking back, I should have selected custom installation here so I could have specified the gMSA, but we'll touch up the services later to use the group managed service account. Here I'm going to specify a custom installation location of SQL. And as always on the Shotoku Tech channel, I'm cropping out some of the paint drying, progress indicator, hourglass scenes. What's going to happen next? Whoa, it's installing. Now again here I just selected the basic installation. I'm still using Express Edition here in this particular lab because, well, I'm not going to install a full SQL license in my lab, but this will still simulate having an external SQL server. Okay, you can see SQL concluded its installation, but because I chose the basic option, I did not get to set the SQL service account the way I wanted to, so let's go ahead and set that right now. Here you can see I'm actually blanking the password out for the group managed service account, and the credential is accepted. Log on as a service. Okay, let's take care of that in local policy, local security policy, log on as a service, log on as a service, add. Okay. Restart the SQL service to make this effective. Yeah, again, I just wanted to run SQL with the group managed service account. Their benefit here is the password is managed automatically in Active Directory, getting updated every 30 days without affecting the operation of the service itself. I'm just going to continue to do this throughout. Okay, so all of our SQL services are running as desired under that account. Let's see if that loaded SQL Server Management Studio. I don't think it did. Let's see, because we need to take another step here. We are installing SQL Server Management Studio. That's a separate download and setup that we've initiated. And again, we just need to have the account that we're going to install Azure AD Connect on a sync server has to have SA rights in SQL. Okay. Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio has finished, and it's going to force me to restart. So here we go. Okay, that's good. So here you see aaco administrator has sysadmin role, so that should be good. Alright, so we should be ready to install Sync on Tucson Sync 1. Okay, so let's download Microsoft Azure Active Directory Connect, Azure AD Connect. Okay, so check out the details here. Let's see, released in December of 2019. Not too big of a file. System requirements, yeah, with no problem there. Install instructions, go read that document. So we're going to skip that part and just go ahead and download. Okay, let's just copy that over to our server here. Alright, let's crack that open. Okay, so we're ready to run through the install steps here. Continue. We don't want to use Express settings because we're going to specify service accounts and SQL servers and click on a bunch of other stuff while we're at it. Yeah, we got our work cut out for us here. Let's start filling in some of these blanks. I want it to go there. Let's browse for my Tucson SQL 1. Okay. So I'm going to say the default server instance. I don't want to change anything there. Now we want to use our managed service account, and it's got to be in that format there. S_bar Tucson-sync. That's a managed service account. I want to make that red go away somehow. That's interesting. Let's see if I put a $sign on there, will it be happy? So it says it's happy. So of course, not being a SQL guy, I encounter my first SQL related error. Okay, so a quick search of SQL allow remote connections tells me to go into the SQL Server Configuration Manager, choose the protocol, enable it, and then restart the MS SQL service. So let's go do that. So we want to enable TCP/IP for sure. I wasn't sure on named pipes, and after frantically going back and forth, I'm sure I enabled named pipes as well. Okay, let's restart that service. Alright, the service is restarted. Let's go try again. Okay, this particular session ends in bitter defeat. We're going to have to come back and try again another day. Yes, I did disable the firewall on the SQL server and just gave up in despair at this point. So we'll try again tomorrow. Okay, so we're back again trying to install Azure AD Connect with external SQL. Going to check the firewall on the SQL server, and it still is switched off, as you see here. So I'm going into computer management to check the services. I've already gone through this exercise in production and working with my SQL guy in our production environment. We figured out that I need to enable my browser service on my SQL server because that's what assists with client connections to SQL. Of course, I'm not the SQL guy, so I had to learn that the hard way. So we're going to enable that service and start it. So we're going back on the Sync server. We're going to try again. Launch the Azure AD Connect configurator. Okay, custom settings. Of course, everybody needs a patch now. I just did that last month. Going to use a custom path. Going to use an external SQL server. Let's browse for that. Now we're going to use our managed service account. And you got to remember to put the $sign at the end. Looks like we're good to go. I'll be darned, failed again. So we're going to try one last thing. We're going to fill in the SQL instance name. Also, I'll make sure to link a page below in the comments section about the actual firewall configuration for SQL Server, so you're not just disabling the firewall like this. I shared that information with my SQL guy. So you can see here the installation is progressing, so that means we did manage to hook up with the SQL Server. Excellent hookup. High fives all around. We know you love Shotoku Tech for Azure AD Connect configuration, so we're going to go ahead here and configure that. Okay, we're going to configure password hash synchronization for the user sign-in method. We're going to configure our Azure AD Global Administrator credentials here. Okay, we're going to connect to Active Directory now. And again, here you want to use your enterprise admin account, and that's got to be an SA on the SQL Server. We've checked all that out. We're going to create a new AD Forest account that will actually perform the updates to Active Directory. Okay, we've added aaco.local Active Directory. Getting the schema information. Alright, so the aaco.local domain, we're not going to use that in the cloud. We've verified aaco online in our Azure AD. So we can proceed without all of the domains being verified. Now we're going to do our OU selections. Now here I forgot, I wanted to create a separate OU for workstations and a separate OU for servers so that we can do the hybrid domain join for workstations. So we're going to have to go back. We can't really do anything with that right now, but we'll go ahead and create an OU in Active Directory and move the servers around. There's our workstation OU. And let's make a server OU. And we'll move the servers into the servers OU. But it's actually too late for us in the sync setup to be able to select that OU. I don't really want to go back. It's not going to work. We're just going to plow ahead and we'll circle back and catch that later. Yeah, I just can't get it to refresh, so we'll go down to user objects because we know we want to sync user objects. I think there's a whole bunch of things in Active Directory that you don't really want synced to the cloud. I prefer syncing exactly what I want. I don't really want security groups synced to the cloud yet at this point. I don't know if there's any value there. This is an important page here, and I never really have to modify the top. We're going to match users by their mail attribute, and we're going to make sure we're using the MSDS consistency GUID. You watch all my other AD Connect videos to understand about that. Password hash sync. Oh yeah, we want to configure password write back so we can do self-service password reset. Isn't anything else we can select here or that we want to select here. So we're going to proceed with that. And like I say, we'll have to circle back. Oh yeah, never do the synchronization right after configuration completes. You always want to check everything out and then enable synchronization. We're going to let this run its course. There's that user that we want to sync to Azure AD Office 365. And we're going to get this Win 10 workstation going here in a minute. I think we'll have to get on our Hyper-V server to get that going. In my early days with DearSync, the original sync tool for Microsoft Office 365, we had a problem with sync, and they recommended we set the auto growth to 100 megs on the database file, obviously unlimited size, then the log file limited to 2 gigs. But the auto growth here at 64 megs seems reasonable, so I'm not going to change it. So we're back to the sync server and configuration is complete. Now remember, we do have to go back and select that additional OU. So we're going to go back into configuration and to select the OU we're going to use customize settings. Of course, we've got to put in our cloud account. There we go. So we can grab that additional OU that we just created for workstations. Now, once this is done, we're still going to have to loop back in and configure the Azure Hybrid Domain Join. And this is for managed domains. It's managed because we're syncing our password hash to the cloud. And so we're going to hybrid join our Active Directory joined Windows 10 machines with Azure AD so we can use them as trusted devices in conditional access. We see that warning from Azure AD Connect to enable the Active Directory recycle bin. And it's a lot easier to do now in Windows Server 2016 than back in the day where you had to run a PowerShell command. So here you just use the new Active Directory administrative console. Once that opens up, you just select the domain and enable the recycle bin. So we're all set there. And we're going to run configuration again one more time, this time to configure the Azure AD Hybrid Join. Under Configuring Device Options, Hybrid Domain Join. Need your cloud account. We're really only interested in the Hybrid Join, so that's what we're choosing. And we want to configure this forest for the service. Basically, it's a record that gets recorded in Active Directory that tells the workstations about this service. Okay, so now we're ready to sync. We've selected our OUs. We've completed all the configurations that we care to at this point. And we're going to fire up PowerShell and start the sync scheduler. We're not in staging mode. We just never said go ahead and sync. Basically, the scheduler is disabled at this point. Set AD sync scheduler, sync cycle enabled equals true. And there we go. So now I'm going to do get AD sync scheduler just to show that we're not in the staged mode. So now we should do start AD sync, sync cycle, policy type initial to do our initial sync. And we're going to launch the synchronization service console so we can watch the action. I'm going to pin it to the taskbar on the sync server where I frequently log in. I want to be able to open that without rummaging around the start menu. Okay, you can see the sync is in progress here. And we're going to log into the portal. Now, I previously, if you've seen any of my Azure AD Connect videos from last year, I've synchronized a bunch of users up there. Then I let my sync server go to heck in a handbasket, pitched up another one. So I have a bunch of users that are no longer present in the directory, but they still show as synchronized from AD, so I can't delete them. I was hoping that this go-round would clean them out, but it does not. And sadly, the only way to remove these users is to deactivate sync on my tenant, which can take up to 72 hours. We're really not going to do that in the scope of this video. I'll probably do it after I complete this video. Yeah, there's just no way. We did sync the one user we wanted to sync, but there's just no way to delete these other users, even though they're not in the directory. I was hoping a follow-up delta sync would. Sometimes you run a sync and then you run another sync and the change goes back and forth and then you see it. But we still did not see those users go away from the Azure AD tenant there. You can see the 51 disconnects, but you don't see any delete action for those 51 orphaned objects. So it's really good not to mess up with Azure AD Connect. It's good to know what you're doing. It's good to utilize a lab environment such as this to work through any of the scenarios before you go to do it in production. You can start your own Azure trial, and the free services continue in perpetuity after you use up your initial $200 credit, which goes remarkably quick. Yeah, those users are not going away. So let's go ahead and start firing up our Windows 10 machine here, because we want to see the Hybrid Azure Join in action. So we got Hyper-V open there, connect to the Win 10A machine, and we're going to power it on as well. We're going to crop out all of this because it took just an incredibly long period of time for this to go through the machinations of becoming a Windows 10 machine. Okay, I really have cropped out as much as I can, yet I still have to maintain some sense of realism, so I'm going to step you through starting this Win 10 machine for the first time. We're going to configure the IP address. I don't have DHCP in this lab, so we've just got the one workstation. We're going to configure an IP address using these net shell commands in PowerShell. There we go. So we've got an IP address, a default gateway, and a DNS server. Make sure we can resolve the domain aaco.local. That way we can join the domain. All right. So let's rename the computer, and we'll have to restart. And then we're back again. We're just going to join the domain now. Get that last command from Notepad here. Add computer, credential, get credential, aaco, administrator, domain name, aaco.local, restart. Pass through verbose. And we join the domain, reboot again. So now we want to get that computer out of the computer's container and move it to the workstation's OU so that it can be part of the sync scope. And we're ready to run a sync again. So we'll watch that go through. You can see the import. There's an add Win10A. Not expecting any. Okay, see, I would expect to see it go through on the export here. Now, a little bit of consternation that it did not go through on the sync. And I don't know if this is the case of some sync operation needs to write up and then another sync operation needs to write back. I also configured the Win10 workstation to accommodate a regular user and logged into it as a regular user and ran one more sync cycle. So there's a little bit of thrashing here. I had expected it would just be here. Oh, there we go. It finally went through. There's my Win10A making its way into Azure AD. And we refresh here and we see that yes, it is enabled and it is Hybrid Azure AD joined. All right, that's awesome. Mission accomplished. SQL Server running on a group managed service account, Sync running on a group managed service account, and Hybrid Azure AD Join. All right, thanks again. Please subscribe to Shotoku Tech so little Jimmy can have legs, won't you? Thank you very much.